it was a big news week this week, of course. Bank of America paying $8.5 billion to bondholders in order to settle claims over bad home loans, sour mortgages. But a lesser-known court ruling could mean that Wall Street's mortgage hangover is far from over. Bankruptcy court judge Bruce Markle ruling late last month that banks that don't have their paperwork in order could have a big problem. Just take a listen to Bloomberg News editor-at-large Bill Rochelle in a recent Bloomberg Law podcast.
If the lender cannot produce every piece of paper in the chain of title, that is to say, the original mortgage and note, as well as all of the assignments, little documents assigning the mortgages and the notes, you're out of luck. You can't foreclose, and you very possibly also might even not be able to assert the debt.
Now, here to tell us about this is Bloomberg Law's Lee Pacchia. I saw you in that other shot. Also, Larry Swedroe, Principal and Director of Research for Buckingham Asset Management. Larry previously held executive positions at Prudential Home Mortgage as well as Citicorp. Gentlemen, good to have you with us. All right, Lee, so what is this decision about? What does it mean?
Well, ultimately, if you come to court and you say that you're the lender and you have the right to enforce the obligations, you have to produce the mortgage and the note and the chain of title. And if you can't do that, then Bruce Markle and his associates, this was actually a BAP panel making the decision. It's actually an appellate level of on top of the bankruptcy court proceeding. So the next court is the Circuit Court of Appeals in the Ninth Circuit, which covers a whole lot of territory for the United States. This is a very big decision, right? It could make law for a large part of the country. And after the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, it's the Supreme Court.
But I thought that there's a big electronic system for tracking mortgage documents, isn't there? This MERS system.
Right, but you have to ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to go into court. And if you say the lender, the bankruptcy judge turns around and says, okay, prove it. And if you can't prove it, you can't foreclose.
Larry, what do you think the bank's position is on this? If they don't have the paperwork, how are they going to move forward with any of these foreclosure proceedings?
Well, I think the issue is they won't be able to. But the question is this form over substance? And imagine, Pimm, if it was turned the other way around and a homeowner had to assert its rights by having every single legal document, and then the courts would rule that the lender could take the home away. Imagine what the uproar would be. Here's the big issue to me. This could drive the cost of mortgage lending way up. It could destroy the securitization process because banks would be afraid to do it because they couldn't have proved title in each case. Lots of banks could get out of the mortgage business, or they would just increase the prices. Remember, the securitization process is what allowed a large percentage of the homeowners in America to get homes at cheaper prices. This could undermine that, and you get the secondary impact of this judge's decision being a highly negative one, while it seems consumer-friendly on the face of it, really could be quite destructive.
But there's a fix here.
What's the fix?
We have a legion of young, unemployed, but talented and intelligent attorneys. They could all be hired to go out and find the chain of title, to go get the paperwork, to eventually go into court. And
Larry, what do you make of that? Maybe the banks ought to be hiring more lawyers. Is that the solution?
I don't disagree, and I'm not saying the court is wrong. Again, I'm not a legal expert, but you're now going to impose much more costs on the system. Somebody is ultimately going to pay for it. You could be 100% certain the consumers will ultimately pay for it in the form of higher mortgage costs.
All right, we've got to leave it there. Larry
here.
Swedroe, I want to thank you very much. I also want to thank my guest, Lee Pacchia from Bloomberg Law.